Bonjour les étudiants et bienvenue à Semaine Vendue. So this week we're going to talk a little bit about some French culture, and I wanted to walk you through it a little bit. So it'll be a short video, but it'll give you some good view into some different things that are going on en France. Oh, and since I have you on video, Gemma is currently somewhere between asleep and awake. She's kind of dozing. So without further ado, here she is, just chilling. Sometimes she looks a little more awake than asleep, but yeah, it's funny with babies. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so aujourd'hui we're going to talk about l'amour et le mariage. So love and marriage. So obviously we have some vocabulary about it on page 354 in vis-a-vis. And you're going to notice that we also have some EC. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that originally, when we talked about la famille and toutes les choses, we had le mari, which is the husband, and la femme, which is the wife. La femme also means the woman. Kind of a weird thing, but c'est la vie. It also, from all of my research, it looks like le mari and la mariée, notice the extra E, like in fiancé, is also used. So you can use either one in class. You'll notice that we use la mariée ici to go with le mari. So yeah, anyways, some different vocabulary. So you have les alliances ici, le bouquet de mariée. Notice it's the bride's bouquet. Le gâteau de mariage, le toast, so toast is the same, and le costume, ici, et la robe, ici, and of course, les cadeaux, ici. And then whenever you're talking about le mariage, you're going to use, notice that you can use the reflexive se marier. So you can say, nous mariés, we married each other, things like that. Or you can use espouser, which is actually a verb, to espouse someone, which is kind of a verb in English. We just don't always use it the same way. And then, of course, you can be married. So, je suis mariée. I am married. Obviously, none of you guys are quite yet. So anyways, that's some vocabulary and some verbs to get you going. All right, so let's talk a little bit about traditional French weddings. You have en faire part, which is, of course, the invitation, comme là, and it's the invitation to the ceremony and sometimes le vent d'honneur afterwards. We'll talk about that in a second. It's not common for les finances, or the finance du mariage, to be split between les parents de la mariée et le futur mari. So the parents of the bride and the couple themselves. Guests sometimes even contribute financially as their gifts, especially if the couples are even living together, which is not uncommon, unfortunately, over there. One thing that's very different is there are no bridesmaids or groomsmen. You have, and Monty doesn't know what to think about that if you heard him whine there. We have les enfants d'honneur, so you have une demoiselle d'honneur and un garçon d'honneur. So a girl, kind of like a flower girl and a ring bearer, and they carry la traîne, which is the train of the dress, les alliances, which is, of course, the rings. They throw the flowers, all that good stuff, but you don't normally have all of your friends join you in the bridal party, as different as that is. Now, normally, le mariage de la mariée is for everyone to attend. That is at the mayor's office, actually. We'll get into that in just a moment. Le mariage à l'église, the wedding in the church itself, is only for close family and friends and is usually directly afterwards. So you basically end up with two ceremonies. Le vin d'honneur, which we talked about a moment ago, is a cocktail party that's usually open to all of the guests. or it's kind of like a cocktail party, or cocktail hour. Then you have le repas de noces, and it's a more traditional formal wedding meal that's afterwards for only family and close friends. So it's a long process to have a wedding. So don't plan on, 3-4 hours and you're done. It's probably going to be a lot longer than that. Now, tous les mariages start with a civil ceremony, as I mentioned before. Remember, the French are very séculaire. They don't really include God in a lot of things, and so they don't necessarily see any reason to do it just in a church. The civil ceremony takes place in Umeri, which is the city hall. Then the religious ceremony happens right afterwards at a church. Now, after getting married, the couples receive a livret de famille, ici. And it's a booklet that you can record your marriage in, as well as other major family events. Think of it kind of like a family Bible, like the really old-fashioned family Bibles. You can put births, deaths, all marriages, all that cool stuff. Now, to get married, in case any of you are wondering how to get married en français, en France, I mean, you have to be, one of the people has to live in France for 40 consecutive days. So a little over a month and you can officially get married in France. You don't get that and forget it. Now, obviously, since it's one of those issues that does come up, same-sex marriage was approved back in Avril 2013. As you can see, the vote was very split. So, yeah, that's how it is. So they also have Pacte Civil de Solidarité, which is a form of civil unions. These are the statistics that I have found related to them. So you'll notice that the number has gone up, though it looks like it peaked out pretty good back in 2010. But and actually it looks like the number of ones that broke off peaked out back in 2015. Anyways, anybody can use it. Primarily heterosexual couples do. It allows for some tax and financial privileges, though not quite as many as a traditional marriage. They are easier to break off than a traditional marriage. Though the interesting thing that I found is that just because it gets broken off doesn't necessarily mean that the couple splits up. As of 2008 or 2008, about 40% were broken off in favor of a traditional marriage. Over there, it's kind of seen like a trial run to make sure that a relationship will last before making a commitment. Not exactly the way that we would agree with doing things, obviously, but that's how they do it over there. I also found some stats for 2015, as you can see, 2015, about the number of different pacts that happen. So if you want to take a look at the statistics, it's kind of interesting to see. You will notice that the vast majority, like vast majority, are between un homme and une femme, ici. And then it does tell you a little bit about the different things that happened to them. So the number that were broken off and all that kinds of stuff. So if you want to take a look at some of the different stats, you can go ahead and do that. This is up on the ELC just as a PowerPoint as well. Now, one other thing to keep in mind when it comes to marriage en France is that, like I said, it's a lot of a backlash against traditional ways of living. In the previous generation, marriage rate fell 30%. It's still declining from what I understand and have read. People still are getting into relationships, but they aren't using civil or religious ceremonies. There's just nothing, yeah, there's not that traditional form of commitment. Le mariage is declining actually throughout all of Northern Europe. And like I said before, it's because people are moving away from tradition more towards independence. You know, they don't need that anymore. And what I thought was really interesting when I was reading a bunch of articles about le mariage is that a lot of people actually do make the decisions that you do because it's a movement against religion. As you know, or as we probably talked about a little bit, sometimes throughout history, things have been a little out of control as far as the church being not acting the way that the church should, obviously. And people have had a serious backlash against it, and that backlash unfortunately has continued. And the movement towards laïcité and secularism has all continued as well. Hopefully that will change as time goes on, but that's just the reality of the way that things are. And because the previous generation has these same feelings, parents don't tend to push their children to get married the way that other generations did. So you have the same kind of thing going on. So it's one of those unfortunate things that happen and is happening over in France. And it's a place where we can really pray for them, that you know, God would continue to send people there who love him and who act like the church really should, to kind of change people's opinions about what church is. So anyways, it's kind of a sad but interesting thing. Obviously their traditions are pretty cool. So yeah, anyways, next slide is just my sources that I use. So if you have any questions or anything this week, just let me know, and I will see you guys soon. Au revoir.